Hello. It is a special day today. Today is launch day for the third book in my Mason Sharpe series. And Annie and I had actually gone out of the house today. We went down to Florida to enjoy a little sun and celebrate, and got rained out. It's an absolute mess out there right now. But that's okay. That's okay, because we got back to the house and there was a box waiting on the front porch steps, which is really cool because sometimes with the way publishing works, it may actually be a few days after the launch before I actually get to put my hands on print copies of the book, but not this time. This time, the day of the launch, wow, they're here. And as always, we've got to open them up with the Victorinox Locksmith, the knife of Mason Sharpe. Unfortunately, this video and this series is not sponsored by Victorinox, which I feel like is a missed opportunity for Victorinox. I feel like Victorinox should be really excited to get in on all these stories and all the cool ways that Mason uses this knife. Up until book 4, something happens to the knife in book 4. I can't be talking about that. We're talking about book 3. Here it is in person. Yeah. Endgame, the third book in the Mason Sharpe series. Man, I gotta tell you, this never gets old. Never gets old. I'm so excited about this book. I'm so excited that I've been able to continue the series. Thank you for reading the series and making it a worthy endeavor for my publisher to continue to want more books in the series, which keeps me in business and keeps a roof over my head when it's pouring rain outside like today. With that being said, you know something I like to do whenever a new book comes out, I like to read the first chapter. Just kind of fun to share that with you and maybe whet your appetite for the story and give you an idea of kind of what tone I was feeling when I wrote it. So let me clear this desk off and let's do that. Okay, so got the desk cleaned up a little bit and here we go. Quick note about Endgame, just a little anecdote. This is actually the first book I've ever written that was set in Alabama. I've had a few scenes in various books over the years in Alabama, but I've never written a book that was just in Alabama. And I really wanted to. This book is set in southeast Alabama in a region that we call the wiregrass because of the type of grass that grows outside. And I'm from here, and my hometown actually makes an appearance in the book. Most of the story is set in a different county, but hometown does make an appearance there, and as well as my favorite coffee shop here in town. So look out for that. But yeah, so Alabama book, and we have a little bit of an Alabama brew to enjoy. This is a pale ale from Good People Brewing Company in Birmingham, which is one of my favorite breweries, and it's a pretty good ale. So with that said, let's dive in. The driver was dead before the van stopped spinning. I saw it all from 100 yards away, a deluge of rain obscuring the windshield of my 67 GMC pickup. Only one wiper worked, and my headlights were dim in the inky blackness of Alabama night. The first vehicle was an old panel van, something built 20 years ago, unmarked and puttering along just ahead of me, driving slowly to manage the rain. The second was some kind of small sedan, topping the next hill and racing toward the two of us at a rate of speed inadvisable in perfect conditions. The road dipped at the bottom of the hill, and I could see the wide pool of rainwater built up there, like a small pond. The driver of the sedan never saw it, not even braking before he made impact. The sedan hydroplaned, spinning instantly out of control and hurtling into the median. I marked its progress by the flash of headlights bucking upward as tires bounced over grass, then dipped toward the pavement again a moment before bumper met bumper, and the sedan smashed headlong into the oncoming van. Both vehicles spun, hoods buckling and glass shattering. The sedan hurtled back toward the median, and the van left the pavement, rocketing into the right-hand ditch and rolling toward a line of trees like a tumbling toy. I smashed the brakes, wrestling the wheel as I felt the back end of my truck start to fishtail. A barrage of rain beat down on the metal roof, flooding my ears with roaring chaos as I slid to a stop. I hit the emergency flashers, wondering if they even worked, and threw the door open. The air hung thick with the heavy stench of burned tires, the pavement littered with broken glass and mangled metal. I broke into a run for the sedan first, resting nose up in the ditch, twisted beyond any recognition of make or model. The windshield was blown out, and I could see a body resting behind a detonated airbag, but it didn't move. As I slid across sodden grass and reached the door, I knew he was dead. He lay head back in the seat, his face covered in blood, his mouth hanging open. I checked for a pulse and felt nothing. The other seats lay strewn with the usual car clutter, empty Coke bottles and fast food trash, but no humans. I clawed my way back to the blacktop and looked for oncoming traffic. There was nobody. The highway lay black and wet, lost someplace south of Columbus, Georgia, the middle of nowhere. I ran to the far ditch and found the van resting upside down, pinned between hardwood trees, now rotated so that the driver's door was fully exposed as I approached. The sedan had made impact just forward of the door, and that entire section of the van was caved in. As I reached the smashed window, I saw a torn and bleeding arm dangling from a body still belted into the inverted driver's seat. I reached for his wrist, shouting into the darkness, but long before I touched bloody skin, I knew he was dead also. The collapse of the driver's compartment had rammed the steering column right into his chest. Frozen dead eyes stared out into space, blood trickling from his lip, and he didn't move. It was ghastly, but nothing I hadn't seen before. My combat-jaded mind tuned out the gore, and I shouted into the van, "Is anybody in there? Can you hear me?" No answer, but I thought I heard a dull whimper. I staggered in the mud-slicked grass, fumbling through my pockets in search of my flashlight. Then the stench reached me, penetrating the rain, an acrid odor I would recognize anywhere. Heat and burning grease. My attention snapped back to the smashed nose of the van, and in the blackness I thought I saw a soft glow. An electrical fire, probably. A ruptured battery, a torn cable, or just pure engine heat collided with combustible debris. It could be any one of 100 things, but the prospect of a vehicle fire cut my opportunity for a rescue attempt in half. Grabbing the mangled door, I gave it one desperate tug before knowing the effort was useless. The door was distorted beyond any hope of opening. I looked to the rear end of the van only to find it driven against an oak tree, blocking the back doors. There were no rear windows, and the windshield was barricaded by the buckled mass of the van's hood. I made for the passenger's door, slipping and sliding through the mud, smelling growing heat and melting rubber. I felt the warmth on my face as I circled the front bumper, spitting rainwater and reaching the passenger door. It was smashed also, but not as badly. I hit my knees and ducked to look through broken glass into a darkened interior. More of the car clutter I'd seen in the sedan littered the upturned ceiling of the van, joined by a trace of blood and an abandoned shoe. And then I saw the second passenger. It was a woman stretched out on the floor, clutching her arm and moaning softly. I couldn't see her face, only her torso up to the chest, visible as vague shadows in the near-perfect dark. "I see you," I called. "Lie still. I'm coming." I grabbed the door handle and jerked. It was plastic and decades old. My adrenaline-charged yank tore the handle clean off with a brittle snap, but the door didn't open. I ripped my shirt off, peeling soaked fabric over my head, and wrapping it into a makeshift boxing glove to smash away the remaining glass. The growing fire was more than a smell now. Light leaked out from the engine bay and around the mutilated hood, offering limited illumination of the interior. I pounded away the remnants of the passenger window and saw the woman drag herself backwards, crying out in fear at the sight of the fire. She reached for the back doors. "There's a tree," I shouted. "You can't go that way. Come toward me." I yanked on the door. With the passenger side A-pillar smashed in, the window space alone was too narrow to force my bulky frame through, but the woman looked petite enough. "Come toward me," I called. An unintelligible cry answered from the van, but the woman didn't turn. I forced my head and one shoulder through the gap, wincing as sharp metal bit into my bare chest. The dangling arm of the dead driver smacked me in the face, and I forced it aside, twisting to look backward. Growing light flooded the interior, and I saw the woman. She was indeed small, not more than 100 pounds, curled up against the back door, her arm clamped at her side, her face obscured by a mass of blonde hair. She didn't turn as I pressed inside, and I called into the van again. "I'm here. It's okay. Just come toward me." The woman turned, the hair falling away, firelight flashing across her face. The breath caught in my throat, and I did a double take, blinking hard, certain I wasn't seeing what I thought I saw. And then I pushed the thought away because it didn't matter. Come toward me! She didn't move, shaking in the back. I beckoned with an outstretched arm, my back tingling as the fire grew hotter behind me. Still, she didn't move. I could see it in her eyes. She was shell-shocked. I wriggled out of the window and tried the door again. It was caught on a mutilated latch, but as I tugged, I felt it give a little. I needed more force. I needed leverage. The tire iron. I fought to my feet and raced to my truck, still parked in the rain with both headlights blazing. Leaping into the bed, I tore through my stacks of camping gear, tearing lids off plastic bins and ripping past propane bottles and cooking implements. A quick glance to the van confirmed that the fire was growing, and my heart rate spiked. I could see flames licking out of the engine bay, flickering taller as they ignited more combustible components. Gas lines fed that engine bay, and there was a good chance one or more of them was ruptured. From there would be a short path for the fire back to the fuel tank suspended almost directly above the shell-shocked woman. My fingers touched the tire iron, and I sprinted for the van. I smelled gas as I circled the nose and reached the door, shoving the implement into the door jamb. I threw all of my 200-pound frame into the bar, heaving and tugging. Metal popped, and my face burned with the rising heat. I slung the iron down, grabbing the door through the busted window and wrenching backward. The door shrieked open. A rush of heat from the engine bay signaled the ignition of fuel. I threw myself down and pressed inside, pushing the driver's dangling arm aside again. The heat on my back was intense enough to scald skin. I rotated left and looked backward, already calling into the van. The woman was gone. And that's it. That's chapter 1. I hope you're as excited about that as I am. I can't remember when I first had the idea to open a book that way, but I feel like the idea for that wreck scene came long before I really developed a concept for what the rest of the story would be, which, of course, as you know, it's Mason. So we've got mystery, we've got intrigue, and we've got a lot of action coming your way in Endgame, third book of the series. So thank you so much. Thank you for your support of the series. Thank you for getting us to book 3. We're having so much fun, and I'm hoping we can do a lot more. So you can enjoy Endgame now. It'll be 99 cents on Kindle edition for the next few days. Of course, it's available in Kindle Unlimited and print. And Andy Ingles, I had the chance to speak with him a few weeks ago, and he's excited to get back to work on the series. So audiobooks shouldn't be too far behind. Thanks so much for giving the series a shot. I hope you'll give Endgame a shot as well. And please email me, logan@loganryles.com. Leave a comment on Facebook. Let me know what you think. I can't wait to hear. Thanks so much.